Okay, we're back. It's actually the next day, Saturday, about almost 3:30 in the afternoon, and let me show you what I'm going to do today. Welcome to 3D Accuracy, where I'll talk about 3D printing, 3D product design, and 3D injection and die-cast mold design. I got most of the planks laid in the corner over there, and let me show you. I've got a little situation, and let me walk around here. I don't want to walk on this part that's already finished because this is clean. There's no glue on this part, but I know I have glue on my shoes, on my boots, because I've been walking back here on these planks, and these have gooey glue all over them, so I got to walk around. Okay, so here's what happens. Since we shifted this pattern, we have three planks wide in a herringbone. One of them starts farther back. Okay, it's not like, each plank came to the same center line, as if this one would be forward, this one would be back. So what happens is the longest plank in the set, in that little group, has to go all the way to the wall, and you see it's roughly, I don't know, 1 3/4 inches or so from here to here short. And so if the plank will end right about here. So there's a little pie-shaped piece, little triangle, that's about 1 inch and a half, 1 3/4 inches wide. So I got to figure out how to deal with that little tiny piece. Now, it happens to only be against the wall. Where the door is, the door sticks out 2 inches in this direction. So that's not an issue. You see, the planks will fit. They go all the way underneath the door. And what I want to do is split it somewhere in the middle of the door, and I'll cut those all off. And so I'll have a nice edge where the doors are, as far as where the doors are, I'll have a nice edge, but against the wall itself, I'm short. Now that little tiny pie-shaped piece, I could stick a little piece in there. I don't know how well it's going to hold, but it will probably never see traffic. It's never going to get stepped on. It's never going to have, things moved over it consistently. And I'm going to have the same issue against the wall here between the two roll-up doors. You see this area here is going to be the same thing, and the same on the other side of the door, as well as the same across the back of the shop. Now, this area here where the concrete juts out and then it continues all the way to the corner, this is not going to be a problem. But this is going to have the same issue all the way into the corner over there. So again, it's up against the wall. It's a little tiny piece of flooring. I can stick a little piece in there. I may have to use some very aggressive adhesive in order to get it to stay down. But I think what I'm going to do is just lay all the planks, get them all down, and then think about what I might want to do there. The other issue is right here by the door. You see where the sill is? It's behind this surface, so the planks are going to come a little short there as well. This is going to get traffic. So I have to think about whether I want to maybe put a molding along that edge. I may come out with some sort of a vinyl molding if I can find it to clean that edge, and I may do that around the perimeter of the shop to give it a clean look and try to cover over that little pie-shaped piece. So I got a few options I'm thinking about, and if anybody has any suggestions, drop them in the comments. I'd be glad to know what you're thinking. Sunday afternoon, almost 1 o'clock, about 10 minutes to 1. I was out here in the shop last night. I think I quit about 11:30 p.m. So I got that corner done where the big machine is going. Let me show you what that looks like. And also I thought of a real good idea to fix that problem I have with the little triangular pieces along that edge. So let me show you what I'm going to do there. You can see I have that corner completed, just about ready to roll the big machine into place. I just have to clean up the back end of the big machine, and I have to wash the floor with the goof off stuff in the can here to take all that glue off the floor before I push the machine in place. But before I do that, let me show you how I'm going to fix that little problem. I got to walk around here. My boots are glue on the bottom, and this area being all washed already, I don't want to walk on it and track glue on it. I'll stay over here on the side. Okay, so here's what happened. Like I explained yesterday, when the planks run up to the wall, because we shifted the pattern, the planks are short of the wall. You can see there's a little tiny triangular piece in that corner. And I thought, okay, well, the door sticks out a little farther from the wall. We should eliminate that. But when I pulled the door up yesterday to take a look, I've got a nice clean cut along this edge on these three planks. But when I put this one in place, move it forward so that it aligns with this edge, the back end of it aligns in this edge, this corner still makes a triangular shape piece when it aligns with the line that's on these three planks. And I've got two options. I can cut it back very short, close to the door, which I don't really want to do. I like having it up farther into the door. I think it makes a cleaner appearance than having the planks cut back and then along that line. Also, I don't know that the other door is in the exact same position as this door, if the wall is this or that way. So what I'm going to do instead, because I want the tile to be as far forward as possible so I've got room to work with. And I also, like I mentioned yesterday, is I have that same issue along the wall on this side. There's going to be little triangle pieces, all the way down the line every three planks. And I want to get away from that, even though there's no traffic, and probably I'll put printers or workbenches or things there, when I get into the rubber molds, and I need the place to put a compressor and a vacuum chamber and a pressure pot, and so I've got other equipment coming in here. So what I've decided to do instead, I think what's going to be the best solution is, and I'll show you on this plank, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this plank up. I'm going to get rid of the triangle piece, and I'm going to move it about 2 inches forward and recut that edge on top. Then that will leave me a little rectangle opening here about 2 inches wide, 6 inches wide, the width of the board, and then 2 inches in this direction. And I'll patch in a small piece here because it's completely surrounded by the other planks, and chances of kicking the edge of it and lifting it, peeling it out, it's not as much of an issue. And I think if I do that, every three planks, so this one will have it, that one will have it, and the one over there will have that little rectangular piece patched in there. I think that's a much better solution than having the little triangle or putting another strip along the edge like a black border. And I think it'll blend in enough. You probably won't notice it. It won't be that big a deal. And I like that it gets rid of that little piece on the edge. I don't like that at all. I'd rather have the entire plank be clean. So I'm going to pull this one up and recut it. And then what I'll do is this one here, I have to do the same thing. This one is the one, you see it aligns, this back end of this one would align to this line, and then it's going to be short. So I want to move it 2 inches forward, so I'll come back here to this point with this back edge, so I have enough on the front I can cut it off. Then what I'll do is this plank here, of course, here's the back end, has to move all the way up to this line. There's a lot more that goes under the door, so when I cut it, I've got a nice sized chunk that I can use to work with, and I'll cut a 2-inch wide strip off of this end, and you see this pattern in the wood kind of matches this one, so it'll, it's not perfect. I don't expect them to be perfect, but it's close enough that it won't be glaringly obvious. And then I can also use a piece of that one over here on this board. You see I've got a dark edge with a lighter, and here is the same. It's got a dark edge with a little bit lighter. I can take a piece of that, turn it around this way, and it won't be a perfect match, but it'll look okay. I think it'll look okay. And then every once in a while, there'll just be this little rectangular piece along this wall, along the entire wall, all the way to the other end of the shop, and then on both ends here, all the way along. And then that allows me, whoops, I just walked across the clean floor with dirty shoes. Okay, sometimes that stuff happens. I'm thinking about what I'm talking about, not what I'm doing. Oh well. That idea also helps out with along the door here. I want to get the planks up underneath that sill because I'm going to pull that sill off and clean it up and re-screw it to the floor because it's not correct. But I'll deal with that later. But I want to cut the planks longer, and then I'll address whether I need to cut more off at that time when I get ready to fix this door, fix that sill. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull that plank, I'm going to recut it, reposition it, and then maybe do the next set of 3 and get that positioned, and I'll show you what that looks like after that's cleaned up and that little rectangular spacer is in there. So I've gotten that piece taken out of there, and that little triangular shaped piece that was up there in the corner. I have that taken out, and I have that piece lying behind me on the floor, sticky side up. Actually, they're both sticky sides, but this is where the glue was applied. And what I did then was I measured from here all the way to the corner of the plank to determine how long this plank needs to be. And I decided, you see I've got a little space here, I've decided to go with a 3-inch wide, 3-inch by 6-inch little spacer in there, just in case there's any deviations along the way in the shop. It just gives me a little extra room to work with, and a 3-inch wide little piece, rectangular piece cut in there and put in place won't be a big deal. So then what I did was I measured how long that board was from the corner here where it hits this other edge, the length of it to where it's cut, and I marked that on the outside edge of this other plank. And then I just scribed the line, drew a line from point to point, and that's where I have to make the cuts for those 3 planks to fit into place. Now this plank here, I have enough to take a 3-inch wide strip out of it, and then I'll put that down here. I don't have enough. I was hoping I'd have enough from this plank to do 2 pieces so that I could patch into this one also, because the pattern was not perfect but close. So I'll have to find another piece another plank, another small scrap piece. I've got a whole pile of scrap pieces around there towards the door, and I'll find another piece to use for that, because instead of going 2 inches wide, going 3 inches wide, that piece didn't end up to be long enough. So that's okay, no big deal. I got plenty of scrap ends. I'll find something that's close enough. And okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and cut these, and I need to take this paper backing after I peel this and stick it on the floor and put it on this plank, because I need to remeasure it and flip it over so I can mark it and cut it, and I don't want that sticky on the floor all over the place. I can't flip it over on that surface until I put some paper. So I'll just pull the paper off of this when I cut these and go ahead and get that taken care of. So, okay, I'll show you what that looks like after I get that part done then. After I get these planks put back in place, I'll show you what that looks like. Hey, okay, take a look at this. I got the little pieces in position, the little 3-inch spacers. Worked good, I like it. Here's how that turned out. Up on the top edge along the wall, you'll see that little triangle piece is no longer there. And I recut this end to be 3 inches short. And at the other end of the plank, see, I've got this little spacer in here, 3 inches wide, 6 inches wide. Not an exact pattern to the floor board next to it, but it's not that noticeable. And you see over here, I have the other pieces in position, these 3 planks. There's the piece of spacer that I'm going to drop in there. It's already fit. Just have to peel a paper and drop it in the hole. And let me show you what it looks like under the door here, because that turned out. Now, you see I have a nice, clean, straight edge on the outside with no little tiny pieces. And that's what I wanted to avoid, because I don't want those little tiny pieces getting kicked and driven over and, you know, sticking up and then peeling and having a big problem with it. So I needed to position these boards in such a way that I had a nice clean line on the outside. And that turned out really great. I like that because that's hardly noticeable. You know, the pattern's a little off, but who cares? I think it's a lot better than having little triangle pieces out along that edge just to have a one-piece plank. Just move that guy up, drop a spacer in behind it, and I fit it nice and tight so there's no crack around it. And I did the same with this one, so now I just got to peel a paper and stick it down. Well, I'm pleased with that. Ended up being a real good idea. It worked out just swell. So now I got to clean up the printer and clean up the floor. And then once I get the floor clean and the printer clean, then I can push it back in position. It's about 9:45 p.m. Floor is clean, the printer's clean, and I got some things moved. You want to see it? I'll show it to you. Got most of the floor planks cleaned over in this area, and I got the printer cleaned, and I got it back in position. It turned out really well. A little difficult to get that machine up onto the planks. What I did is I put some very thin cardboard in this area so that I wouldn't damage the planks, because the machine is heavy. It's about 900 pounds, and the casters aren't really good. You know, it's been around. And so the only trouble I had was back in that corner where I laid the planks. The wheel was hitting so hard that it wanted to scoot the planks just a little bit, and it was buckling a couple planks. So I had to in and out, in and out, in and out a couple of times with the printer before I finally got it to get up on there and keep the planks flat. And so anyway, I got it. It's in there, and it's pretty good. So now I moved this printer down, so it's just about in its location. I got to clean these guys up, get them hooked back up, that sort of thing. And it may move over just a touch and back just a touch. I got to see. I got this one in line. He's in position. And so now what I want to do next, which probably won't be for several days, maybe until next weekend before I get out here and do any more. Well, I have to see how that goes. So anyway, but the next thing that I will be doing is putting the planks down in this area. I've got some preliminarily laid out that aren't stuck to the floor yet, and I'll get those up to the desk, and then I'll move the desk onto the planks, and then I'll do the floor behind the desk between it and those 3D printers. And then when I get that area done, then I'll move those 3D printers up into this area. So plenty to do. Plenty to do, but it's coming and it's looking good. Starting to look like a nice 3D print shop now. So I'm really, really pleased with it. And then the other thing I got to do is get planks, all the planks down 2 rows down this one, so I can put this workbench back up over there, get all my tools set up, and get this desk back over here in its position. And then then we'll be done moving things for a while, which will be great. So it's looking pretty good. I like it. I like it. I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you're ever in need of 3D product design, 3D injection mold design, 3D die-cast mold design, or 3D printed prototypes or production parts, please feel free to contact me. You can find contact information in the video description. I look forward to hearing from you and to being of service to you. Thank you for watching. As always, I appreciate it. See you on 3D Accuracy's next video.